Hello there, folks. This little lesson today is going to be about note names. Okay, specifically the treble clef. That's the name of this symbol that you can see up here. Okay, the treble clef. For what we do in our class, we are just going to be doing treble clef notes. At least for the majority of you. Some of you who are in who move to cambiata or lower voices might do bass clef. But most of us are just going to be doing treble clef. Okay, that's the clef that we will be singing the most. I don't want to get you confused having to learn a bunch of different clefs, so this is the one that we're going to use. Treble means notes that are high. Okay, so the treble clef is for singers and instruments who sing a little bit higher. This might be review for a lot of you, but this is really intended, like, if you're struggling and you can't remember the basics, like, you can use this video to help catch yourself back up again. Okay. It's important that we know how to read these notes, so that we have a common language with each other, so that if a teacher or a fellow musician is saying, like, I'm having trouble with getting from that G up to the B, then we know we can go to the music, we know where the G to the B is, and it helps us to visualize how far away notes are from each other. And when we get into like harmony writing and all this kind of stuff for more advanced theory, we need to know all these different things. Okay, so the goal is that everybody finishes an ensemble, knows how to read their notes, knows how to read their rhythms, can find do depending on what your key signature is. There's a whole bunch of skills. All of these skills kind of swirl around and then stick together all at the same time. But for right now, we're just going to talk about how to read notes in the treble clef. Okay. So up here, got the treble clef. In music, we use what's called the staff. Okay, that's this thing right here. Okay, we have 5 lines on the staff. I'll show you down here. We've got, I'll draw my treble clef here. We've got 5 lines on the staff. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you'll notice I started writing from the bottom. We always go from the bottom up when we're naming stuff musically. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines on the staff and 4 spaces on the staff. Okay, 5 lines, 4 spaces, always. And we have 2 different types of notes. We've got line notes and we've got space notes. Okay, so for a line note, the line goes right through the middle of the note. For a space note, it's all empty on the inside of the space note. Okay, and that's how we know it's a space. Space notes are stuck between lines. Now, we can also have notes up above the staff. Okay, so like there's a space note up there. We also can have what are called ledger lines for when like a note doesn't quite fit on the staff. We need to add some extra lines. So that's a line note up there. Okay, so we've got line note, space note. Here's another space note because it's empty on the inside. A line note because it's got the lines right through it. That's pretty straightforward. All right. I will draw. How about? Okay, we've got a bunch of notes here. Right now, just think about if this is a line note or a space note. Okay, that one's a space. Line. Line note. Space note. Okay. Pretty easy to find this. It helps that there's only 2 different kinds of notes, right? Line notes and space notes, so that makes those kinds of things quite a bit easier. Sorry, let me move my microphone a little bit closer here. All right, so we got those line notes and those space notes. Now, we're gonna learn the names of some of these notes. Okay. Now there are all sorts of tricks that you can use, all sorts of sayings that you can use, and we have used those in the past. But for this class, we're really just gonna memorize like a few notes and then use just like the alphabet to go different places after that. In the music alphabet, we use the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, we just use those letters. There's some modifiers that we put on those later, but for right now, you just need to memorize A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's it. Okay, after you get to G, you start over at A again. B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, and if I go before A, I get G. Now, that's when I've written them out in order. Come on, camera, focus. But really, you should think about them written up and down. Okay, so I'm gonna write A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay, because they go more like this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, going up and down. Okay, really just going up. As we go up in the scale, we go forward in the alphabet. So this note right here, okay, is a G. Maybe I'll scroll down here so we have some fresh spot. And this is a G. The note that is in the little target of our treble clef. Here's my other treble clef I drew. This one's a little bit nicer. Okay, that note that would go right in the middle of there, that's a G. Okay, so the second note up from the bottom, second line up from the bottom is a G. If I go up from there, then I am going to the next letter in the alphabet, music alphabet, which is A. That may have been kind of a confusing place to start because we immediately crossed, right? It wasn't H, it was A. Okay, if I go up from A, I get B, C. Okay, so when we go from a line, a space note to a line note, or a line note to the next space note, these are what are called steps. And we just go to the next letter in the alphabet. Okay, and we just go forward in the alphabet. A, B, C. Now, knowing this, that we just go to the next letter, we just need a few anchor notes. That's all. Okay, so if I draw my treble clef here again, okay, remember that note that was in the middle of this treble clef is a G. That's a super helpful one to be able to find. And then I'm also going to draw a ledger line below the staff, and that one is C. Okay, we've got G and we've got C. This one specifically is called middle C. Yeah, but if you just memorize it as C, that's fine too. So we've got middle C, we've got G. Between those two notes, we can find all the other ones on the treble clef. Okay, we just have to count. And then as you get better at this, you'll start to memorize other waypoints along the way. Okay, so I've got my middle C here. I'm just going to draw a scale up an octave. C, D, E. What's the next note? F, G. What comes after G? Remember, after we get to G, we go back to A, B, C, etc. D, E, F, G. Okay, there we go. I just did a big scale that goes from below the staff to above the staff. For this class, we're not going to really go much higher than this G, okay, because we really just don't sing. Sometimes we go up to this A, but that's kind of an extreme note. This range is pretty close. We'll go a little bit lower than C pretty often, but for right now, this is what you need to know. Okay, so I'm gonna draw treble clef. Okay, and we'll do some. We'll practice a little bit. Where is that treble clef? There it is. Okay, so I've got my C and my G. And I'm going to draw some notes and you're going to help me figure out what they are. Okay, so let's see. We'll do this one, that one, that one. All right, we'll do 4 different notes here. Okay, so for this first one, I've got a G that I know because I memorized it. It's in the middle of this treble clef. If I go G, A, B. Now, sometimes what happens when we take these kind of quizzes or whatever, and we do these practicing, is we go like from this note to this note. I would recommend that you go back to here, okay? That you go back to here and you work your way up, because otherwise, if this is wrong, then that's going to be super wrong. And so I've got G here, A, B, C, D. All right, for this one, we can either go down to the C and go up, or we can just go down from that G. All right, if I take a step down from that G, what's the previous letter in the alphabet? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Got my F. Okay, and then I can do G, A, B, C, D, E. Now I did that really fast. It might take you longer than that to get these notes. Okay, but that's you can work on it. Now there are mnemonic devices. Okay, there's like face and every good burger deserves fries. Like you can use those mnemonic devices. What we're trying out this year is that we're just going to memorize these notes, okay, rather than use mnemonics, because what happens is we have a million different mnemonic devices and they all get mixed up in our heads, okay, which can be kind of confusing, right? You've got 2 for the bass clef, 2 for the treble clef. Then sometimes when I was a kid, I used a different one for up above the treble clef, and they all get swirling around and stop making sense. So it's really better we just memorize them, because you'll be a lot faster with it too. Then we can take out that extra step. It's slower to start with because you don't have a trick to lean on, but you'll be faster in the long run when you do it. Okay. There are some tools on your Google Classroom that you can use to practice. Okay, this is a note naming app that I'll have linked on the Google Classroom. Okay, and you just kind of click around through it. What's this one? We know this one. What's that special note that gets its own ledger line below the staff? Yeah, middle C there. Okay, I'll make sure that there's no bass clef on there so it doesn't get confusing. But you should be able to figure out these notes based on the skills that we just did. All right, so that was a real quick thing. There's a worksheet packet that you have in your folders now that walks through this even more slowly, as well as some drawing exercises for practicing drawing your treble clefs. And as always, when you have questions, please email me and watch this video again if you need some help. But all the materials should be there. So good luck.